Hi everyone, welcome back to the weekly Astro forecast for today, Tuesday, the 10th of March, going into next week, the 17th of March. So, how are you guys doing with this whole stellium in Pisces? Isn't it too sensitive? Are you feeling a little bit more emotional than you're used to? Well, just know that it's normal. So, let me know where you are watching this from, and of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe here on the Beyond Mystic page on YouTube. And of course, also here on Rumble. And if you guys want to book in a session with me, of course, that is possible here on the Beyond Mystic consultation page. You can use Beyond Mystic as a coupon code to save 10% off. And of course, you can choose between personal forecasts, like a 1 year ahead, or a birth chart, and I also provide couples readings, synastry, and composite readings as well. So I would love to see you guys, of course. All right, let's step into the week ahead. I've got some pretty positive news for you guys. And hi, Ashley and Laura and Crypto Blonde from Ontario. And Amy is here as well. This is so cool. Thank you guys all so much for joining. And yes, Crypto Blonde, exactly. I've been feeling very tired since the time change. I was going to ask you, how are you all doing with like the daylight savings time? It tends to throw me off balance as well. It just takes a time to, to adjust. And yes, staying exactly in the States and Canada, they've already switched over to daylight savings time. So for us, that's going to happen on the 29th of March. So there is a little bit of a time switch going on right now for us people here in Belgium. So, yes, Jupiter stationing direct. It is so cool, you guys, because finally, after all of the intensity of the past few weeks and all of the forecasts that I've been doing, I've got something quite positive to share with you guys. But of course, it is an interesting week and it's going to be quite action packed because right now we're like standing right at the intersection between the reflection period of Mercury retrograde that is still going on until the 20th of March. But Jupiter is now causing this like forward momentum. We're still in the aftermath of the eclipses. Mercury is still retrograde, but luckily, Jupiter, the planet of abundance, success, luck, protection, expansivism, that is now stationing direct in Cancer. So, the energy of growth and expansion is finally starting to move forward again. And that is actually pretty, pretty positive. But still, with the Mercury retrograde, we can feel this week it is going to be a little bit like trying to start the car while we're still like reading or figuring out the map and where we are going. So a lot of you guys are excited jumping into the car, but it's still a little bit unknown where we are exactly heading right now. So yeah, there is movement happening, but we're not entirely finishing like reviewing where we've been. And of course, Jupiter has been retrograde since November of 2025. So we could have felt like the positive blessings that Jupiter tends to bring in our lives, they got a little bit refrained. And now things finally are going to start to move forward again. So, and all of that, we see also Venus, the planet of love and money, is right now interacting with Saturn and Neptune and also Pluto. So Venus, yeah, she's a little bit under pressure this week. And that is really going to be the backdrop as well here. And this week, we're also going to see Mars, the planet of anger, conflict, and unfortunately war, is going to be conjuncting the North Node in Pisces. So that is really a very big karmic transit that can bring a lot of fated turning points, especially in themes of war. So after that, Mercury is also going to conjunct with Mars, that can create rather heated conversations or like surprising news and a lot of strong opinions and debates, especially with what's going on right now on the world stage. And that is definitely going to pick up a notch, unfortunately. But still, yeah, there's like this week we need to navigate a little bit of a mix in energies that are both like deeply emotional and at the same time highly dynamic. So Jupiter turning direct, it is really encouraging a lot of growth and optimism. And then on the other hand, Mercury retrograde about to conjunct with Mars are definitely going to be stirring things up a little bit. And yeah, we're going to see big moments where people are going to react rather emotionally before thinking things through. So take that really into account this week. It's going to feel a little bit intense surrounding those days of Mercury, Mars for sure. So yeah, we need to really navigate this week very consciously. We need to be careful not to react in in an automatic kind of way. Some of us are definitely going to get triggered this week. So yeah, if you're feeling a little bit weird lately with the Mercury retrograde, you're not imagining it. Right now, it's basically trying to organize your life while someone just keeps shaking the table that you're working on. So let me know if you're feeling that. I've been definitely feeling that a little bit the last few days. So with this whole Pisces stellium as well, drink more water, get more sleep, and be careful about what you're messaging or what you're saying or really speaking out this week. That is going to be very, very important. So, yeah, Butterfly Wisdom says dynamite and energetic and emotionally. Yeah, that is like the perfect mix of everything that's going on right now in the astrology. And yes, Amy, a lot of Aries are emotional lately. I've been feeling that, and especially yesterday and today. Venus, our planet of love and money, it now jumped into Aries on the 6th of March, but she's right now being hit like a bulldozer with Neptune and Saturn. So there are definitely a lot of reality checks going on, especially if you're a Taurus or a Taurus rising, Aries rising, Libra rising, definitely a little bit more emotional than we are used to. So yeah, Ashley says Jupiter going direct, so good. Yes, well, I do want to state a little bit, I want to clarify that a little bit more because Jupiter last year when it ingressed into Cancer, and I've been having a lot of Cancers asking the same question. They're like, Astrid, why haven't we felt like the positive, bountiful blessings of Jupiter in Cancer? Well, that was because when she ingressed last year before the summer in June, then right off the bat, she was squaring off with Saturn. And Saturn is the one who like puts a lot of limits and a lot of refraining energy on top of the positive things of from Jupiter. So there was a little bit of like, yeah, Jupiter entered Cancer, the sign of its exaltation, where she likes to be in, but then she got like hit with a wall, and Saturn was like, no, we're gonna set a limit, and you can only give your blessings so far. So yeah, we're definitely been feeling that, and unfortunately, if you're in early degree Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising, then you're dealing with a Saturn square on top of that. So that is why, but that's definitely also been like seeping through in the collective energy, of course. So right now, Jupiter is at 15 degrees, already way past over the Saturn square. So now, when she turned back direct, and I don't know why I call Jupiter in a female sense, I keep saying her. She must be a female offering all of this guidance, but no, it's actually not typically a female planet. So yeah, interesting that I'm saying this, but now she's at 15 degrees stationing back direct. So Jupiter at a 15 degree, it is a Gemini degree, it is really learning about our emotional intelligence. And now finally we're going to see more positive aspects and more positive blessings coming through, and also know that it doesn't necessarily have to happen on the exact day of the stationing direct. Mostly Jupiter is going to give the blessings before it jumps over into another sign, so by the end of June. And by the end of June we're also going to see Venus and Jupiter, the two benefics, being conjunct one another. So that is going to be extra like bountiful this year. So that is actually very positive and something to look forward to if you are a Cancer, or if you're like wondering why the beautiful Jupiter blessings are not so immediately palpable. And of course, Cancer, it is a sign of our emotions and our intuition and family. So definitely, I know a lot of people who are renovating or who are moving, or who are just like literally expanding their family. So maybe you're becoming a grandmother. That is one of the positive, beautiful blessings of Jupiter in Cancer. So yeah, it is very loving energy. And Ashley says Saturn is the best. Well, that's kind of shocking. I didn't read that much in my life before. Actually, explain me why you think Saturn is the best. And of course, Saturn, he is a very strict, tough planet. It's about karma, it's about time, it's about limits. But Saturn, it really tests you. And if you like withstand the test of time, and if you like can keep putting in your like dedication and commitment, then Saturn's rewards are definitely those who really stay over the long term. And after you, for example, wrap up your Saturn return, that is really a time when like a whole new foundation is being built, where you then like can build further upon. So it is actually, yeah, Saturn is the best. Well, congratulations and chapeau, because not a lot of people can look at it from this perspective. And yeah, let's another one. Wow, I'm a Capricorn and I agree Saturn is the best. Well, you guys are quite mature and quite responsible, maybe way more than me as an Aries. So yeah, that is quite interesting here to read. You guys are definitely surprising me today. All right, let's dive into the week ahead. Let's look at today, of course, Jupiter stationing direct. It is like, of course, before I dive deeper into that, let's look at Venus. Venus is, of course, like the background energy of the week ahead, because she's now, right? She's still on Saturn. So for some, a lot of like reality checks within relationships, or for others there can be some caution within financial dealings, but there can definitely also be a very important contract being signed in regards to finances that are going to create like some kind of stability over the long term. So yeah, depends. If you're a Capricorn, you're gonna love this energy. Others maybe not so much, but sometimes with the fact that she's also been over Neptune. Neptune represents dreams, illusions, and sometimes confusion. And now she's still like very close by Saturn, and then Saturn can feel like a reality check and all of the Venusian themes, or even within your dreams right now. It could feel like you're falling in love with someone, and then like realizing you should probably like check their behavior and their Instagram first before you like put on your rose colored glasses. Maybe they're sharing a lot of things that you're not going to be aligned with in some kind of way. It can also like play out in your wallet, of course. In other words, it's like dreams meeting reality right now. So yeah, a lot of people right now are questioning themselves. Is this relationship still sustainable? Is it reciprocal? Are my finances structured well? Are you realistic about what you want and also what you need? And it's also, of course, like looking if your current relationship still like aligns with your values and your self-worth. And of course, Venus and Aries, she just goes out and about, and she doesn't really care about other people's feelings. She's more focused on herself. And I do not mean that in a very egotistical way, but some are definitely going to be acting more upon their desires, and they're gonna like overcome their fear and really take action. That is a positive part of this aspect. And of course, she's already over Saturn right now. Next week, she's going to square off with Jupiter. Well, squares between the two benefics are not too bad, but it can definitely be about overindulgence or too much action or being too confident in going after your desires. That is then something we need to be a little bit more careful for next week. On a more global level, this triple conjunction of Saturn, Neptune, and Venus can definitely be about like financial tightening, economic reality checks, what they are doing with money in regards to war, sign of Aries, and markets. Yeah, they're like a little bit, yeah. It's a bit more difficult here with this aspect for sure. Saturn always like reminds us that whatever happens, the bill is gonna arrive eventually, and a lot of people have been receiving the bill. Is it like in a karmic love kind of way or within their pocket? But it's definitely been very, very palpable here. So yeah, sometimes the bill is only financial, sometimes it's emotional, and occasionally here with this aspect, it can be both. So a lot of people can feel like now they have to be tightening their belts and need to be a little bit more cautious. And we're going to see some major headlines during the next week about new financial regulations and the slowdown that is happening in the economy, of course. And yeah, a lot of discussions about like the rising costs of living. And that is definitely going to be major headline next week when Venus squares off with Jupiter. Jupiter is in Cancer, the sign that rules over the home. And of course, Venus is our money. So a lot of people are going to be feeling a little bit more outspoken about that next week. So watch the headlines. That is definitely going to be a theme. So then with Jupiter stationing direct, there is more emotional expansion. It is really something that we need right now. And Stain says, yeah, the love for food. That is also a big one because Uranus is at the end degrees of Taurus, and it's really having also a very big implication on like our food and agriculture and on how that's being affected right now with the current world affairs. So yeah, it is actually, yes, I was going to talk about that. 25% of the world's oil just got trapped in the Strait of Hormuz for the next 2 months. Well, yeah, that is the Mercury retrograde on top of Mars, on top of the North Node in Pisces. Pisces is gas, oil, naval routines, and yeah, it's going to be pretty big here over the next couple of days. So um, all right, so Jupiter direct, a lot of new developments within our family, within our home. We're going to see policies shifting around our domestic issues as well. Of course, Jupiter, it is about growth, and Jupiter, it whatever it touches, it amplifies it. So it is also about like opportunities, belief systems, seeing expansion in that. When it goes retrograde, which it did since November, all of the growth becomes more internal, and Cancer is already a very internal sign. But when it turns direct again, the growth becomes now more external, and Jupiter is actually quite powerful. The energy right now is extremely strong as it's like switching its motion. It's like most potent right now. Interesting fact here, Jupiter at 15 degrees, a Gemini degree, that is like about things being doubled. So there can be double good news, there can be like double things, double situations, or like multiple situations that indicate good fortune. Gemini is also about like the media, and Gemini is also about learning and studying. So it's actually studying of like learning more about our own deep inner emotions. The sign of Cancer, it is a water sign. It is very intuitive, even psychic, and it can be very, very overwhelmed and sometimes a little bit moody, sometimes a little bit passive aggressive. It likes to care so much for other people, but sometimes it forgets to fill its own cup, and then they become moody when there's not enough reciprocation or like not enough gratitude for that. But and that is really something that we all now need to tune into more, really learning about how our own emotions really affect our body. We just had an eclipse in the sign of Virgo on the 3rd of March. And with Mercury retrograde, there are a lot of people who are struggling a little bit physically. And that is definitely the reason why. And it's like now such a big, big moment in which it becomes just like crystal clear the negative effect on our physical body of being intertwined with wrong people. Pisces deals with toxins, toxicity, chemicals. And unfortunately, with Mars conjunct the North Node, conjunct Mercury retrograde, we can see some problems in water sources, in chemical attacks, and toxins being released. Neptune, Saturn are at the EC of the US Sibley chart. That means at the bottom of the chart at the fourth house cusp, which indicates the lands. So I wouldn't be surprised over the next couple of weeks if there are like some problems or issues with either water supplies or either toxins being released in that even more than they already like doing. And there can also be like some kind of chemical attack or chemical leak, that like something that leaks within the soil, because the fourth house resembles the land. Definitely something to be mindful about. So thank you so much, Elegant Witchery. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for mentioning that. And hey, S. Hartley, thank you so much, all you guys, for the love in the chat. So also, the Sabian symbol for this stationing direct is actually rather interesting, if you ask me, because for the Sabian symbol, we round up. So instead of 15 degrees, we look at 16 degrees of Cancer. And the Sabian symbol for that is actually a man before a square with a manuscript roll before him. That is the old version. The more new spiritualized version of the Sabian symbol is then a man studying a mandala with the help of an ancient book. How beautiful is that? Because the Sabian symbol here, it really represents like the act of rediscovering wisdom from the past. And I've been talking so much about that lately with the Mercury retrograde in Pisces, the sign that deals with like things hidden, hidden societies, past lives, past civilizations, the sea, Atlantis, things that are like, also happening within our oceans. So it really talks about like this preserved knowledge and something that actually has survived generations, and that is gonna like be revealed in some kind of way, and it's gonna hold a lot of meaning beyond this present moment. So the truth, it isn't invented, it is actually remembered, and we can really now dive into meditation and really connect with our past lives and with like past knowledge, and that can definitely be coming back in the present moment right now. Butterfly wisdom, yes, exactly. Rediscovering things from the past. Pretty interesting how that's going to play out in ancient Egypt. And I think we're going to see massive things getting revealed in regards to that, especially in August. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. And also, the Sabian symbol, it can also be like, it's symbolizing the knowledge that has been hidden, that has been misunderstood, but that has actually never been completely lost. So it is like searching for the truth externally, but then to like rediscover it internally. That is also going to be a very big theme. It is about deep, deep reflection, and true wisdom, it requires a lot of contemplation and patience, not instant answers. So that is something that we need to let go of right now. If you do not have all the answers, it is normal. If you feel a little bit confused, a little bit exhausted, our mind is now processing so much unconscious stuff, and our body needs to have ample of time to really catch up with that. So be a little bit like not too tough on yourself. Take more rest. It's really, really necessary. And definitely now, within the last 10 days of the Mercury retrograde, that is going to be very, very important. So, also, it's like decoding a lot of stuff right now, even stuff that we are not fully aware of. We are receiving so many water codes right now from the Pisces energy, and we most likely want to like go interpret that or translate or put it into context. But it really mirrors like our subconscious work right now. A lot of knowledge comes through memories and emotions and a lot of ancestral patterns that are actually like stored just like a manuscript within all of us. So we need to give ourselves time before these hidden insights emerge. And of course, the sign of Cancer, it really rules over our heritage and our memories and our ancestral lineage and our really our roots. So it is really, really beautiful here. A lot of the ancient traditions hold so many clues about our own identity and our collective past, and we know that the history that we are being taught at school, that is not real history. And the next 2 years are really gonna be pretty wild, honestly. And then In the Sabian symbol, there's also like a mandala, and that represents cosmic order. So it really reflects here the structure of the universe and how that is even going to be highlighted even more as soon as Jupiter goes into Leo and is going to make a trine to Saturn. The whole structure is going to be changing massively, and that is going to be because a lot of wisdom is going to be passed down to us again. We are now needing to remember. So look at what you can learn from the past, but also untangle yourself from thinking that you have all the answers, because that is like the downfall of Jupiter. Some people are so convinced that they know the full truth, but then there's Jupiter and definitely also Uranus. And Jupiter and Uranus are going to make a sextile by the end of July. A lot of people who thought that they had the whole truth by researching a lot are still somehow going to be surprised by the end of July. It is something actually to look forward to. So keep an open mind. It's about the pursuit of true wisdom, but it also involves like our memory and ancestry. So a lot of the mystical side here really gets intertwined with the whole Pisces stellium here as well. So yeah, there can be like this renewed sense of optimism about the future, and all the things that got stalled, like around housing or relocation plans or emotional healing, all of that now finally starts to move forward again. So yeah, apply your emotional wisdom. It's gonna really be beneficial for you. So on yeah, on a more public level, there is a very big emphasis on homeland security, unfortunately, as that is also the resemblance here of Jupiter in Cancer. So that is also why that is happening. And we're going to see changes in the housing market, within agriculture, within the food supply, domestic policies as well. And hopefully now governments are going to start to like focus more on this stability that needs to be brought within all of that. So yeah, the question needs to be here right now, like how do we create security for our people? Yeah, so unfortunately that is not the case, but that should be going more in like a positive direction from now on. So also here on the 10th, we see an exactly elegant witchery. Stay grounded during this time. Connect to the higher frequency. Exactly. And it is available. Look at Jupiter trining this whole Pisces stellium. That is actually incredible. We see this happening once every 12 years, you guys. That is like how crazy this is. There can be major blessings on a personal level. It is actually quite strongly indicated here in the charts. So um, yeah, remain curious to uncover true wisdom moving forward, applying emotional wisdom. That is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So we can see here as well that Venus is making a sextile with Pluto. So yeah, that in itself is like definitely giving a little bit of help here. Empowering like transformations within relationships or within our financial system or within our own wallet. If we tap into that, there's definitely a lot of like opportunities right now to really make like an extra buck or two. And Venus sextile Pluto, there can also be like magnetic encounters, more intense conversations in relationships. But yeah, this is also correlating with like huge developments within large financial institutions. Especially within companies that are related to technology, Pluto and Aquarius. So look at the tech giants, what they're doing right now. There were a lot of announcements about the brain chips, about 6G and all of that. Not too happy about that, honestly, but still, it is the Venus sextile Pluto here. It often correlates with like shifts in financial power and influence of the tech guys being like boosted here. Digital currencies, companies in regards to tech, Elon Musk, all of that is really also being highlighted by this. Another beautiful thing here is that today, with the Jupiter stationing direct, that actually the moon is in Sagittarius. So Jupiter traditionally belongs to Sagittarius, of course. So the moon highlighting that today is actually very, very beautiful. There is a lot of emphasis on like this philosophical reflection, and yeah, there is a focus on our beliefs, and we are still like trying to figuring that out with Mercury retrograde here. Of course, the moon also squares the entire Pisces stellium today, so there could have been like more sensitivity, more impulsive reactions, a little bit more emotional frustration, rising tension. That is quite normal today. The moon represents our feelings, and Mars really is about action and conflict. And yeah, there is a little bit of like over emotional reactiveness today, and I've actually felt that in myself, because I feel when the moon squares with my ruler Pluto, Mars, and also sextiling Pluto, that can sometimes get a little bit more intense during those days. So let's look at the next day. On the 11th here, we see the last quarter moon in Sagittarius. So that means that actually the new, we just had like an solar eclipse in Aquarius. Then we had the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. Now the moon is actually making its last quarter square to the sun before the whole lunar cycle closes out, and a new moon in Pisces is kicking off a whole new lunar cycle. So it's actually a pretty important day today. I think we can see some pretty important news regarding global trade and how that is being affected right now by the oil fights and wars over oil, and also Venus here on the Neptune Saturn conjunction. Yeah, this is a pretty revelatory day today. So I know for me it's already 5:30 in the evening, but for you guys mostly it's now around noon, so you can definitely expect some more news coming up in the afternoon. So yeah, this really marks a phase of like release and reflection after everything that happened during the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. So we like now are in a stage where we are like evaluating what was unfolding during this cycle, and especially the eclipse cycle, and we are now deciding what needs to be released before the next new beginning kicks off with the new moon in Pisces, and that's going to happen on the 18th. So yeah, we are now like unconsciously preparing for the next lunar cycle. A lot of people are still processing the recent revelations of the full moon lunar eclipse. So yeah, there can be questions today with the square to the Pisces stellium, like, am I on the right path? Or are my goals still aligned with everything that's happening? Are there some kind of beliefs that I need to release in order to move forward now with Jupiter going direct? The moon in Sag, it tells us that sometimes growth, it requires letting go of all these things that no longer like resonate with ourselves, and that can be quite strong today. So for others there can be a very big focus on wanting to go traveling or educating yourself, starting a new study or course with Jupiter at 15 degrees Gemini degree. It's really about like educating yourself more fully, and by that also expanding your horizons, and by that also rewiring your belief system. But there's definitely going to be some kind of debates about like our vision and our ideology, and such. It loves the truth, but sometimes the truth can be a little bit like inconvenient for some people, and that is like the clash here that gets represented with the moon and the sun. So yeah, reconsider your long-term direction. Really look a little bit more deeper at where we are going with this next new moon. Here we have March the 12th. Then the moon will jump into Capricorn. And of course, it will square the planets in Aries. So, yeah, Ashley says, I just can't wait for Mercury to go direct. Honestly, Ashley, I'm feeling it as well. I'm kind of over this Mercury retrograde. This morning when I woke up, I felt a little bit under the weather, even already since this last weekend. And I was like, oh, wow, like Mercury retrograde, it is very famously known for people like it's in the sign of Pisces. Pisces rules over our immune system. even without the sign of Pisces, Mercury retrograde is known for people getting more easily ill. Sickness, Virgo lunar eclipse, our physical health. And I was like, no, no, I got sick during the last eclipse in Virgo and also during the last Mercury retrograde that was last year. I was like, I'm going to skip this one. Very like convinced of myself. But yeah, sometimes we cannot escape what needs to be purified. Sometimes getting ill is also like a transformation process in which we then shed a lot of our toxins and also like energetic toxins with Mercury retrograde in Pisces. So yeah, it was to be expected, honestly. And I've read in the chat for the last couple of days that a lot of people are feeling a little bit under the weather. Others are actually very, very ill. And it is like the toxins that are like coming out energetically, emotionally, physically. It is kind of a lot to deal with right now. So do not freak out. It is rather normal. But yes, Ashley, I'm looking forward to the 20th of March when it goes back direct. And then Aries season is going to kick off, you guys. Wow, April is going to be a big deal. So let's look back at the chart. The moon in Capricorn squaring all of these planets in Aries. There's going to be emotional pressure for sure. Definitely on like authority. Capricorn deals with authority. Definitely also like the structure and the rules. Jupiter is the law, and then Capricorn is like the government who then like makes these executive orders, but Jupiter is really law, and then Capricorn like execute the rules. That is like the difference, but they're actually strongly correlated with one another. And here we can see the moon also opposing Jupiter. Gonna see some news here on March 12th about some kind of new law. Can very well be connected to either our housing situations or new structures within the government. And in regards to war as well. Capricorn is the general, and then Aries is like the warrior, and they clash right now. Gonna be very interesting to see how it plays out on like a governmental level, because in our own lives we can even feel more pressure from like work responsibilities or our duties, or definitely pressure from authority figures as well. But on a world stage, governments are going to implement some new strict policies and some very big new structural decisions, definitely leading up to the 28th of March, when we are going to see the first new contact between Saturn and Pluto, and it's already building right now. So for all of you guys here who are watching first time today, in January of 2020, we had Pluto and Saturn conjunct in Capricorn at 22 degrees. Then Jupiter was also here in the mix. There was actually a very big triple conjunction. Back then, the North Node was in Cancer, so our destiny or like our collective push and dharma or karma was actually in Cancer. We needed to stay at home. Very like, I'm still mind blown about the fact that during all the lockdowns, the North Node was in Cancer. I'm like still not over that, but yeah, okay. Also, right now we see the first new like contact between Pluto and Saturn. So yeah, we know what they wanted to push through in January of 2020, you guys. It's the first time that these planets are going to make a new contact since this big seed that got planted in January of 2020. So I'm just saying, like, brace yourselves. We're going to see some new rollout of the agenda. The big next step. I need to be a little bit careful with what I say here on YouTube, but still, the 28th of March can be quite big, honestly. So also with the moon square Neptune first in the morning for the US and Canada, there can be confusion and more emotional sensitivity to these new rules that they want to implement. And there can be like unclear narratives being pushed upon us to confuse us in some kind of way. The moon also then squares Venus. yeah, something within new laws regarding our finances and within our personal levels. We need to balance work responsibilities with like our personal relationships. But the fact that she's also squaring Saturn, the moon, yeah, she's in Capricorn. Saturn belongs to Capricorn. It is the ruler, and the moon is going to square off with Capricorn and with Saturn. That is a little bit more difficult here, honestly. Challenging squaring aspects with the moon, emotional reactions, feeling like we cannot express our emotions. Saturn brings so much responsibility and limitations, and then Neptune adds so much confusion, and then Venus highlights dynamics within finances and love. So, yeah, there is definitely going to be emotional tension during this day. So, it would be best to actually maybe stare into fire or go walk by water. You can either connect with the Pisces stellium and really go and unwind, detach, and dive into meditation, or you can just like gaze into a candle or into like a bonfire to really, yeah, channel and transmutate the more challenging dynamic here. And if you are dealing a little bit with health issues, then I've got something for you guys. Of course, with this eclipse here in Virgo and the Mercury retrograde, it is actually pretty important to really take extra attention and time for your health, to put it back in order, to just support it. And here we have like a very big sale going on. This is like a new sugar-free tart cherries here, and these are actually gummies. They're actually very nice. They're very tasteful, and they deliver very powerful antioxidant support. It is so important. We are being bombarded with free radicals within spraying in our skies, within our water, within our food, within our everything, man. And I know we cannot focus too much on that because otherwise we go crazy, and we can also not like be fearful of it, otherwise it takes our power away. But still, it is important to be informed and to really take something that is going to support you during this time and actually your entire life. So you can order them at shopc60.com, and there are actually also other bundles that you can buy. So definitely very interesting for this lunar eclipse in Virgo. If we don't look at the 13th, also going to be pretty spectacular if you ask me. Mars is conjoining with the North Node at 8 degrees in Pisces, and 8 degrees, it is a Scorpio degree. So Linda says, God help us in Canada, what a Dude show. Okay, yeah. I think I might soon include the chart for Canada again and look at the aspects to give you a little bit more information on that. Elegant Witchery said, Astrid, are you saying they are pushing a fake sickness or whatever? Well, actually, no, that is not what I meant. But however, that is what I was a little bit, yeah, a little bit unsure about, because if you look at the history of the Saturn Neptune conjunctions, then they are connected to real pandemics. Like, I'm not saying this to freak you guys out, but it's connected to the plague, to the Spanish flu, and the Spanish flu isn't like even what we are being told. There's a lot of like, yeah, there are long videos explaining that on Rumble, but the, unfortunately, Saturn and Neptune are connected to like sometimes 40% of the people passing away. So when I was looking at it, I was praying and praying that it wouldn't happen. And now that we're already over the full moon lunar eclipse, that's already in the past now. I think we're gonna be safe. I think we're gonna be off the hook, honestly. But still, full moon lunar eclipses, they play out over 6 months of time, and the Saturn Neptune conjunction, like, Neptune is our immune system and Saturn blocks it, limits it. But I think it's now more going to play out for people who took the medical procedures like a few years ago. Saturn in Aries can be about like blood clots because Saturn blocks and refrains, and Aries is like the blood flow. Aries rules over everything that is red. And Neptune weakens the arteries. It weakens the blood flow. We need to really be careful for congestion. We need to keep the blood flowing in the next 2 years. And with everything that's already been exposed and the examination of blood over the last few years and all the clots that they were like getting out of that, like, yeah, very intense, dark things. It's important to really work out to keep our body moving. And even if you didn't took the medical procedures, it's still important to get rid of the spike protein, because that can all like also how do you say it, it can also, yeah, become too much for our bodies to handle. So Shannon is also helping out with like how to heal yourself. And definitely very important to also implement all of Shannon's steps that she's guiding you like through this whole process. Saturn in Aries is in fall. Aries also rules over the head. Yeah, lung emboli, how do you say it, like cardiac arrests. The south node is going to enter into Leo. Leo rules over the heart. Jupiter is going to enter Leo, amplifying the Leo energy. Pluto is going to make an opposition with Jupiter is going to make an opposition with Pluto in the beginning of July. Pluto is dead. Pluto is now in Aquarius. When Pluto was in Leo, at the opposite sign, we had the whole baby boom. Now that Pluto is in Aquarius, that is the opposite thing. So I need to be a little bit careful on how I word everything. And I didn't want to touch on such intense topics, but definitely we're going to see a very big increase in all of these matters over the next few years, especially 2 years. So Ashley says cayenne pepper is really good for blood flow. Yes, and really strengthen the muscles. Aries deals with the muscles, and Saturn wants you to like strengthen it, mature it, like master it. That is going to be very important. A location, yeah, a location for this that will be like at the astrodatic map. I will need to like look for exact Saturn Neptune, but like the conjunction already happened. So I think we're off the hook, because during the conjunction on the 20th of February, there were like massive reports about like new viruses, new sickness, new disease. And I was like, okay, like here we go. And I was like praying, because I knew maybe it would have been like real now. But no, they've now like all went on to like they switched over to all the bombs and guns in Iran. So let's just hope and keep our fingers crossed that we're not gonna see it within the next few months. So yeah, actually love the intense subjects. Yeah, I just like with these shows, I never want to install fear on people. That is something like the self-fulfilling prophecy. It is a real thing, you guys, and I'm also always so very aware of what I'm saying and what I'm putting out in the collective. And I want you to help you to calm down instead of like it fired up. That is most important here. So yeah, exactly. Butterfly wisdom. Saturn, Neptune, immune system, Aries, head and the blood flow, Leo, the heart, plague in the past, Pluto is dead and they're dead. Yeah, indeed. That is put together really well. So yeah, focus on the toxins and releasing all of that. And yeah, just be mindful to support your immune system a little bit better during these times. So here, the Mars conjunct the North Node. Of course, the North Node, it is like in Pisces still for the next few months, and it is representing our destiny. And Mars is about action and conflict and motivation. And North Node is like our karmic direction. It's also like collective evolution. And when these two forces align, events can feel very fated and accelerated, because Mars is very, very fast. And it's really pushing everyone and also society towards like this whole new path. And this is going to bring very big, decisive actions that could feel like unavoidable, that you cannot escape. And Pisces likes to escape, but it's going to be difficult here. You might need to confront the situation, you might take a risk, but if you do it, it's going to align with your deeper purpose. And Pisces, it is about intuition, and your emotional sensitivity is going to be heightened. So These are about actions, Mars, that are going to be guided by your compassion and also spiritual awareness. And if you're going to follow that, it might lead to one of the most meaningful, beautiful outcomes here. But it's going to indicate some intense transformation. It's at the Scorpio degree. We might, yeah, we're going to receive some news of like some soldiers, Mars, dying in like big numbers, unfortunately, or like a bigger devastating event concerning young men that are going to cross over. It is a Scorpio degree, it is in Pisces, final endings. The war is definitely going to kick up a very strong notch here on the 13th. On a personal level, this is really about like spiritual growth and helping others out, and your creative expression gets massively boosted. Pisces energy, it really wants to like it's emphasizing on like compassion rather than confrontation. So I hope that you're gonna take like action that comes from your empathy and not your ego. But on a global stage, Mars in Pisces always highlights issues that are connected to the ocean, maritime routes, coastal cities. In regards to war, Mars is the warrior, humanitarian crises. Pisces, it deals with like hidden dynamics. This is about like covert tactics, and not everything they tell us about the war right now is the truth, as you guys already know. But in Pisces, it is hidden, and developments are going to be happening at night. Pisces is at night while we sleep, and it's going to like, yeah, happen quietly before like becoming public. That is a very big emphasis here, like we also saw happening during the kickoff. So very big, historically significant, fated things here. A lot of geopolitical tensions connected to routes over water, shipping routines, shipping routes, Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, an uptick in naval activity and a lot of conflicts around international like trade channels overseas. On the 14th, we then see the moon conjunct Pluto. That is when, again, emotional intensity increases during this day. And yes, I'm just gonna get up this comment. Like, yes, actually, Ashley, exactly. There are so many war videos that are all AI generated. You can tell as the camera doesn't shake like most bad phones captures are. Yeah, but honestly, Ashley, I think is becoming quite difficult to distinct between like real and fake, because some of these videos are really, really like becomes difficult, you guys, and that is going to increase over the next coming years, more and more. And yeah, butterfly wisdom says spirit awareness, transformation, Scorpio, compassion. Pisces, Scorpio is endings. It's like Pisces is final endings, and like Scorpio is rebirth. And yes, indeed, Pisces, hidden truths about geopolitical conflicts. Exactly. About like global trade, gas, oil, all of that belongs to Pisces. And we're definitely going to see also a lot of things being exposed from these hidden societies whenever Mercury stations back direct on the North Node. That is going to be quite massive, you guys. Yeah, exactly. Stain. Oh my God. Like, I was talking to my boyfriend, like, we need good robots, and like, here we go again with like the yin and the yang and the pendulum that swings. And yes, there's going to be bad robots and bad AI, and yes, it is connected to the dark arts people, and we're going to see new people who are going to see it as their new religion, and they're going to go absolutely delusional, insane with the whole AI thing. But yeah, we might need good AI and good bots to then fight against the bad bots. Like, how, oh my God, like, yeah, it is just a never ending story. The good and the bad. Definitely, AI is the biggest propaganda happening right now. It is a mind F. Yes, exactly. And hey, Macmillan, when you do the Canada thing, you do Alberta as well. Yeah, Alberta is a very interesting case right now. Maybe I should do like a whole video about the chart of the US, Canada, and Alberta. And I'm definitely like including that in my Aries workshop that I'm gonna be hosting on the 22nd of March. I will launch it soon. But still, I might need to do it on Rumble and not on YouTube. I'm still like trying to figuring that out. So yeah, Moon conjunct Pluto. We know Pluto is a planet of intensity and power, and it's gonna bring deeper emotional realizations. You might suddenly even become aware of like these toxic patterns in friendships. We have like Mars, Mercury conjunct the North Node, the Moon on Pluto, but definitely the public is gonna act quite unhinged during this time. Be a little bit careful if you're like in big groups of people on this exact day. I would actually advise you not to do that. Moon on Pluto can become quite explosive, honestly. Yeah, it's going to be less explosive with the Mars square Uranus, but still, these are days that we really need to like maybe tune in with ourselves and detach from all the politics. Aquarius deals with politics and also with like groups of people, and the toxicity is becoming like more exposed in all of these dealings during that day. On a world stage, Pluto Moon, it very much always coincides with like powerful emotional responses from the public. The moon is like the people, and this again indicates like large scale reactions to all of the political decisions and the technological developments, and it's gonna boost new social movements and rebelliousness again. Artificial intelligence might actually be even a big day on the 14th, while we are now like talking about that. And also on the 15th, this is gonna be quite huge. Mars conjunct Mercury at 10 degrees, which is a Capricorn degree. Capricorn, the government, politics, structure, law, legality, new rules, karma. Yeah, 10 degrees. It is an important degree here in this conjunction. Mars is always like action, forward movement, and Mercury retrograde. It is like about like reviewing all of the past actions in regards to, of course, war and all the fights that have been going on over global trade and the oil and the gas in Pisces. It's like reconsideration, rethinking. They might be like met with like reality. Capricorn is like the reality of the actions they have been taking, and Mercury retrograde says ho ho ho, you need to maybe relook some agreements and decisions that you've made, because we all know that it's not for the best, and there can be some karmic repercussions here, definitely also for important politicians. The moon is on Pluto, Mercury, Mars on top of like each other at 10 degrees, a Capricorn degree. The sun is about to hit Saturn and Neptune. You guys, we might even see like the passing of a very important world figure on like a very big world leader, definitely also on the 20th. So this is like a very intense window, the 15th and also the 20th. But on a personal level, Mercury, Mars, heated conversations, you guys. Be careful. It might feel like you need to say some things very urgently. And yeah, for example, Charlie Kirk, he was born in his natal chart. He had Mars conjunct Mercury. So he was someone who really was very good at debating. But the conjunction for him was in the sign of Scorpio. And it's interesting now how many more things are being revealed about his passing, and how he was actually speaking out against the whole Iran war. And he would have been an important, like very prominent figure who was gonna tell the young people, like, no, do not go to war. And yeah, the Mossad just like, yeah, it is so strange how all of it is connected. And every time we see a Mercury Mars conjunction, I've like paid attention to the last one as well. We see new things being revealed in regards to him as well. So we might get some new documents, some new information, new testimony, new kind of like, yeah, whistleblower, Candence Owens as well, of course. Yeah, it is like a very good example of like trying to explain the energy to you guys. He wasn't afraid to talk about like the taboo subjects and the deeper layers and what was like effed up in all of, yeah, in our world, especially. So yeah, he didn't back down, but he debated in a very like mature kind of way. And I hope you guys are gonna tap into the same frequency and the same level of communication, because a lot of the people who are unaware alongside us when we go to the store, to the class, to like whatever you're gonna go, people are gonna be feisty with their words, man. And Mercury Mars is very famously known for a lot of explosive communication. So words can really be like knives, be a little bit more like, yeah, try not to be too impulsive with your words if that's going to be possible. For others, it's going to be like a spark of spiritual insight, creative inspiration, confronting a lot of these unresolved issues. But it's important now to really slow down before reacting. Um, Elegant Witchery says, folks, just stay home, chill out, hang out in the garden, stay away from the 3D show they are creating. Well, that is especially going to be like the banner for April. Like as soon as Aries season kicks off, especially a very critical window between the 15th of April and 20th of April, this is going to be like the most important banner. Unfortunately, we're going to see people who are going to be forced at home by the military. So I'm going to talk more about that in my Aries workshop. Yeah, Macmillan says hack the bots to go after the Epstein list. Yeah, I wish we were able to. But honestly, after all of the darkness that has been revealed, and like when I open my social media, I've seen so many like dark videos, dark images, and I haven't been on social media too often the past few weeks because honestly, I choose to not see it. I do not need to see it to know how dark and evil it is. But when you're confronted with it, I just don't want them to install all of their like crazy, insane, freaking mess on my hard disk and in my subconscious. I do not want to see it. Like I'm like putting up a very firm boundary. And I know some people in my neighborhood who like cannot get enough and keep searching and keep examining, and I'm like just wondering myself, like are you like thriving on this dark energy? And that is something that I'm a little bit wary about. I just choose consciously to not let that enter my realm and my space and my energetic body. I know how dark it is, and I do not need to see it like getting confirmed every day, or when I like wake up and drink my morning tea. It's like something that I like our nervous system, it got overloaded by all these files, and it's like an ancient or like an old CIA tactic to overwhelm us, flood us with information, and by that we're missing the whole essence. And they're not releasing the other files, and it's like all redacted, and we still do not know the truth. But we've seen these horrible images, and everyone was shocked, and our immune system is already weakened. Then they're triggering our nervous system on top of that. There is a reason why it's getting exposed so massively, and yeah, I just do not think we know the full truth about it. I choose to stand in my power, and yeah, not to give too much. Like wherever your attention goes, it grows, and it's something that I do not want to grow. And I think it's very positive that it gets exposed and illuminated, because like a lot of people, like still they do not have a clue what's going on. Most of us already know. Like I knew it since 2017, 18. There's no need now to put more focus on that. Like the strongest rebellion that we can do, it is not going out and fighting and screaming and like protesting for the government. No, the most rebellious thing we can do is like stay in our power, keep spreading love, because they siphon our energy and our fear. Allez, if we are fearful, they siphon our energy. I do not allow it anymore. I used to. I got so overwhelmed with my Pisces thallium, and I really feel the weight of the world massively on my shoulders. No, I choose to rebel by spreading love, by staying in my frequency, by increasing it. That is the thing that they really do not want. They want us to get mad. They want us to go protest. They want us to like feel emotionally overwhelmed. Well, they're not gonna get it from me. No, I'm so over that. Like, um, yeah, we need to keep our boundaries concerning the dark messages in social media. It really becomes too much and very draining to our frequency. I think they want our vibration low. Exactly. That is like to dum. And hey, Anna, dark times. Yes, dark times, but the darkness is getting exposed because the light is winning. We are heading over in the age of Aquarius. These are like the last dying gasps of this whole messed up, delusional Pisces era that we've been in. We're going to switch over within 100 of years. So we're in the transition period. We're seeing glimpses of the Aquarius future, but no, we're not in it. No, I see so many like influencers about how we're now in the age of Aquarius. No, we're not. No, we're still like in the transition period, and we're still like untangling ourselves from this freaking Pisces era. And yeah, I block every news channel account. As long as you don't block mine, Yana, it's cool. So, yeah, staying exactly. Social media is recycling all that was posted 5 years ago. No need to process it twice. It is like that. Like, if you've been like a very big investigator, and if you've been into the conspiracy theories for a long time, it's nothing new for us. So, yeah, Amor. That is so beautiful because your name is Amor, and you say our best move is to raise our frequency. That is our armor. Like, this is so beautiful. Thank you. It is true. So let's continue with Mars conjunct Mercury, because of course it is Mercury retrograde conjunct Mars. So Mercury is digging up so many lost hidden knowledge. It is bringing up so many lost files, lost truth. Pisces is about spiritual brainwash. Mercury then gets lost hidden information, and whatever is going to get revealed is going to create massive fights and conflicts, even within hidden societies, which is good. Let them just like it is like, how do you say it? We're gonna see more confirmation of what we already know. Of course, I'm just gonna like leave it at that. Also, very big uptake in like very big heated political debates, a lot of controversial news, a lot of sudden announcements, and yeah, like we've seen breaking news all every day from dusk till dawn, every day in and out, like 24/7. We see breaking news, breaking news. Well, honestly, this could be a day for like real breaking news. So I'm just gonna like leave it at that. On the 16th, so to end this forecast, yeah, as if everything wasn't like intense enough or like action packed enough this week, we're gonna end it next Monday by a moon square Uranus. And yeah, that creates a lot of restlessness and unpredictable emotional atmosphere here. It's gonna re-trigger the degree where we saw the new moon solar eclipse in Aquarius. So yeah, the last time Mars was here, the bombs in Iran went off. So yeah, I think that just sums up everything with the moon re-triggering that exact degree here on the 16th. It will be shortly after noon for you guys. So these are charts of like noon, Toronto time, so Eastern time. So a little bit after noon, around 1 p.m. It's gonna square exact. So then we can have like another surprise within our personal lives, or also within like these political announcements, and it's gonna bring a noticeable shock to the system. So yeah, more instability, people more restless, more rebellious. Our personal plans can change quickly. Some news about our food, our finances, the sign of Taurus, all of that is getting another shakeup, unfortunately. So yeah, we're gonna see very big shakeups in the financial market during this day, especially. It doesn't need to be like catastrophic necessarily, but we're gonna see big swings and also new announcements about wars, conflicts, and how that creates instability for Mother Earth, for our pocket, our wallet, and also even, yeah, food supply, like food chain supply disruption here. That is also one of the possibilities with the square to Uranus. And I think people are going to start like panicking and buying a lot of things. And that is going to create some instability even further here, especially for the States. Like I'm mostly talking about countries that are already like in this ongoing conflict. Of course, if you live somewhere safe and sound, just know that this can be a day where you have like another surprise, something that you didn't see coming. That is always the case here with Uranus. And then the sun is starting to like prepare itself to go into Aries. Mercury is going to then start to prepare itself to go back direct on the 20th. And that is going to be a very big change then. So, yeah, it's going to be surprising. On the 17th, Mercury will be exactly on the North Node, and then we can have very big, important news and a lot of fated conversations. Can be about beautiful, new, like minded people who are going to come onto our path here on a more personal level. Very beautiful energy here to really reflect about the past, to reflect about like, yeah, communication. Like, if you're a little bit more nostalgic and if you're thinking about a lot of conversations from the past, then just know that that's normal here with this energy. Just let it come up. Feel your emotions, feel the feels. That is always the case here with the Pisces Stallion. And just surrender, accept, and let go. This is like a very big portal of release. And then on the 18th, so 2 days later, we're going to see a new moon in Pisces, which is actually very beautifully aspected. So I cannot wait to talk a bit more about all of that next week, honestly. So, hey Arno, I can see you've landed in the chat as well. Arno says, we don't need politics, news, their money system. Yeah, Arno, well, are you gonna pay my bills then? But no, you're right, Arno, and thank you for tuning in. So yeah, thank you so much, John, for being like. Thank you all of every. Oh my God, it's Mercury retrograde still, you guys. I'm gonna be so glad when it's gonna be over. But thank you guys all so much for being with me here today. And let's end this show with Shake the Booty. Yes, I know maybe that is gonna be the only thing how we can rebel by just being happy, dancing, connecting with the people we love. Do not let them throw us off balance. And thank you so much, Ashley. Maybe I need to draw a tarot card. Like, not a tarot card, but I have my Healing Waters Oracle, and maybe we can end this week's show with drawing a card, because with all of the intensity and the Pisces Stellium, we can use some more guidance. So, the card. Beneath the surface, what's really driving you through motives breaking free? So that is the card that I'm getting for you guys. I hope you can read it like this. So yeah, this is so beautiful because it's a lady with like the sea, the Pisces stellium. She's sitting on top of it. She's surrendering. She's meditating. She's connecting to the divine. She's really tuning in with herself and reflecting on the things that really drive her and what truly motivates her, and breaking free. That is like the keyword here for the moon squaring Uranus by the end of like next week, or like the beginning, because it's on Monday. These forecasts happen on Tuesday. So this week can be like the final week of really reflecting upon like the Mercury retrograde and the past year, especially, and especially the last 3 months. And then on Monday, there can be like a push to break free, because the moon is going to square with Uranus just before it's going to then conjunct the whole Pisces stellium before there's a new moon in Pisces. So there's a whole new seed being planted within like the unseen realms, and like the sign of spirituality and our astral body and our dreams. And we can really uncover and untangle what motivates us and what we truly like desire in life. And desire is also about Mars. And Mars is conjunct to North Node. If you feel desires coming up, you guys, especially in the next 3 4 days, then you might need to just go after them. Go get them. Just go after what you want, as long as you don't hurt other people, of course, with Venus and Aries. And I'm talking more on an relationship level. But still, it is, yeah, what's beneath the surface? What are you hiding yourself from? Are you afraid of your own power? Are you afraid of the hidden knowledge? Are you afraid of like the buried power within yourselves? It is time right now to tune in with that and to embody our North Node, to lean into that, even though if it feels a little bit uncomfortable. Mars is going to give us like the desire and the motivation to act upon that, because the spiritual warrior is massively triggered here with Neptune and Aries and Mars and Pisces. There's mutual reception going on. So we all might need to really dig into that energy. So yeah, that was it for today. And of course, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe here on the Beyond Mystic platform on YouTube, but also on Rumble. And if you guys want, you can still book in a session for the month of April, when the whole Aries stellium is going to kick off. That is going to be quite important, honestly. And do not forget to tune in later today with the beautiful Shannon and the Beyond Healing show here tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So thank you guys all so much for spending time with me today. And I will see you back soon. Bye bye.